I'm Aryeh Schwartz, and welcome to the Winsidr show, where it's all about the W. I'm very excited for this episode as we continue our series of going in depth on each team in the league. This episode, we welcome to the show Nia Symone to chat all things Atlanta Dream. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content at winsidr.com. That's winsidr.com. And remember, downloading the episode makes our stats look better, your listening experience better, and allows us to continue doing this important work. Nia, welcome to the show. So happy, so excited to get you going on this one and chat Atlanta Dream with you. How are you and what are you up to?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. I've been on calls all day, so I am excited for this one. I know this is such a fun day. We're winding down, a couple of days left of the WNBA season, so I'm excited. But no, overall, a great day. How are you?
I'm good. Hearing you say like you've been on calls all day just makes me think. Obviously, everyone during COVID has been on Zoom calls and
Oh
and
yeah.
whatever, but like I haven't even looked at my phone bill during COVID. And like I don't think I've ever used this many minutes. Like I'm a texter, right? Like I'm not a
Yeah,
caller, but during
yeah,
COVID, you
of
become
course.
both, right? And
Yeah.
now it's just like, wow, I must have just logged an insane amount of minutes. Sorry for that rambling. Before we get going, please share with everybody, share with the billions of listeners, where they can, hear your thoughts, where they can see your work.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It is at Nia on Air. I am an Atlanta Dream insider reporter for 92.9 The Games, which is our local sports radio show here in Atlanta. It's the number one sports radio show here in Atlanta. So I am talking all things women's college basketball and WNBA. And again, I am just excited to bring some Atlanta Dream news to you guys.
No, that's amazing. I'm happy to see that people who are passionate and care are getting opportunities, not just, podcasts, whatever, but like real opportunities. And I'm gonna
Absolutely.
I'm gonna I'm gonna hype you up a little bit. You also have a show with Nike, so you're not gonna plug that a little bit. Give a little
Oh,
plug. Come on.
sorry, I didn't know. Okay. So I am the host of Nike's new series called Come Through, where I sit down with game-changing Black women. So far, we have two episodes out. We are in the mix of shooting episode 3, but you guys can check out episode 1 and 2 available now on YouTube and the Nike app. Episode 1 actually features the Asia Wilson, and it was such a fun and amazing show. So definitely check that out. And I also host my own podcast with my co-host, my amazing co-host. It's called In the Clutch Podcast with me and Malik. We talk everything sports and culture, of course, WNBA, NBA, NFL, all that good stuff. So definitely check us out. And I believe those are my shows. Oh, I am a part-time talent with Overtime Women's Basketball as well. So make sure you tune in every Tuesday and Friday with the Hot Clock Girl Gang. We drop all the latest women's sport and women's basketball news, and it's so fun.
How do you have time? Like I'm sorry, and I mean this with the most respect. Hearing you list all of that, I'm just like, there's not enough hours in the day to get all of that done. Props to you. So much
Yeah,
respect. You can't see me. If I had a cap, I'd be like doing a very, out there hat
of
tip to
course.
you. Um,
Thank you.
wow. Okay. I'm completely off my rocker, like completely shook. I don't know. What are we talking? Oh, Atlanta Dream. All right. Let's talk about Atlanta Dream.
Yeah.
How you feeling about this team? Give me some updates. What's been going on during training camp? Kind of what your takeaways are, because I know you've been in the know.
Yeah, wow. It has been an interesting 2 weeks. It's been a roller coaster, of course. Um, from this team, I feel like it's a new era for the Atlanta Dream. Of course, last year, the team was just trying to get acclimated from the different changes. Angel McCartry's gone. Of course, being in the bubble, a lot of different changes needed to be made. within the team, within the organization. And I mean, so many moves from, on the court and off the court have been made. And I had the absolute honor to come and cover the preseason game here in Atlanta. And I saw so many great things from this team. Again, it's a new era. Like, it's so different. I always talk about my life growing up. I started out as a ball kid for the Atlanta Dream growing up.
No,
And,
that is so cool. That
it's amazing.
and now you're covering them as an I love it. All right, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's always just been my passion, my goal. Shout out to LaChina Robinson, because she was actually the person who I was so inspired by to wanting to
Yes.
cover the dream. So just to have that insight and have that opportunity to now be able to cover the team. I've been around the organization since it came to Atlanta in 2008. I was in elementary school. I was in fourth or fifth grade, I believe. And my mom, I remember her coming in my room and she was so excited. She's like, "We're getting a women's team. We're getting a women's team." And I didn't understand, because I was like, well, we go to Georgia Tech games all the time, but we were
You're
getting a
like, what are you talking
WNBA
about?
team. Yeah. But we were getting a WNBA team. And it has been just incredible to just be here. Now I'm on the other side covering the team and just watching things unfold. And just going back to, what I saw, going to this preseason game, it felt like a new awakening, a new era for this team. You have so many new people added, so many new faces. I guess I'll start off with just my input of seeing the leadership and the role of Odyssey Sims. It should never go
Mhm.
unnoticed. And when you have a young player coming in like Aryeh McDonald, Kennedy Carter, of course, is still super, super young. Having that mentorship between her and Courtney Williams leading these young guards, I'm excited. I'm excited. And then you have your addition of Cheyenne Parker down low. You have Monique Billings, of course. We have Elizabeth Williams coming back, and you know, we're waiting for Tiffany. So it's gonna be a really, really fun season. I think that this is gonna be the new era of the Atlanta Dream. Because of course in the Wubble they struggled with injuries and COVID, and just a lot of ups and downs. But no, I think that this is going to be a fun season for this team, and I'm so excited.
I'm gonna go way back and
Mhm.
echo what you said about LaChina, just because I mean she's the goat. I
Yeah,
can't. Yeah,
she is.
I'd be remiss and a liar if I didn't say that her podcast inspired me to start this podcast. So just gonna
Love
drop
it.
that in there because I don't think anybody really knows that. So might as well drop a little
Yeah.
tidbit there. But hearing you talk about Odyssey Sims in that way, I've seen the
Mhm.
videos on social media. I've heard some of the players talk about it, and
Yeah.
it's really funny because when you look at her career, the recent career of
Hmm.
LA and then Minnesota,
Hmm.
she was on teams where she didn't necessarily have to fill that role. So I think a
Yep.
lot of people forget of her ability to be a leader in that way, and how much of an important aspect that can be for these young players. But I can't lie if I'm not thinking of like some hilarious sitcom of Courtney Williams and Odyssey Sims as like the parents of them, playing a little good parent, bad parent.
Hmm.
This parent's gonna give you
Hmm.
extra breakfast. This parent's gonna give you extra cookies. This parent's gonna be hard with the rules. I'm just so curious to see who fits into which role, because they both have that aspect of like fun loving whatever, but they also both have that aspect of like buckle down, it's time to
Yep.
work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Very,
Absolutely.
very excited for this team. So I got a few follow-up questions. This
Sure.
team, I think it would be an understatement to say this team has some personalities, right?
Oh yeah.
How do you think they're meshing? I like, maybe this is like a ridiculous thing to ask, but I'm curious. Like, there's a lot of big personalities, and I don't think that's like, maybe some people automatically view that as a negative. I don't, like,
Yeah.
honestly, and we'll get to why I think their personalities are so amazing. But how do you think having all these personalities are meshing with this team?
Yeah. I mean, you have so many people. You have from what it seems like to me, Aries very reserved, very quiet, very poised. I think that each of these women on this team, they have unique and amazing personalities. And um, of course, you have a lot of people who are, veterans and have been in the game for a while, have, won championships or have played with, championship contender teams or whoever. And so many people are coming in with different experiences. And I think that is kind of what mellows it out is, everybody can kind of back it up. They can say, well, I've done this, I've done that, but how can I teach this person, or how can I teach this player, or how can I mentor this player, or give
Hmm.
some advice to this player about what it's like to experience certain things? Because I feel like everybody here has experienced something with one of their teams, or college or
Hmm.
whoever. So bringing in all those different experiences and just kind of putting it all in one, and having to stick together, I don't think necessarily it'll be a problem with big personalities or anything like that. I think that there will be some type of mutual respect for everyone, and that everybody can learn from each person on this roster.
Yeah, and I hope you're right. Real quick, how's Courtney looking? Because I know last season obviously hampered with COVID,
Hmm.
obviously the bubble and everything like that. There was definitely times last season where she just didn't have that same energy and spark. Or I don't want to say energy or spark, but it was clear that at certain times her body wasn't at in game shape, and I mean that like conditioning wise. Like there was just we're all used to seeing Courtney Williams run laps around other players in
Mhm.
the field. How's she looking? Is she feeling better? Is there been any concern about that?
I haven't heard any concern. I think for
Good
Courtney
sign.
right now, it's just more of her getting adjusted,
Hmm.
because, coming from Connecticut, having such an incredible career there, and then, being traded to Atlanta. And then, of course, during the time, last year, I don't think anybody was really themselves,
Hmm.
physically, spiritually, emotionally, or anything of that sort. So I do feel as though that we will see a different side of Courtney, the Courtney that we all know this upcoming season, because now she can get comfortable. She can figure out what works for her. She can get in her groove, and really get into the system. I think that's the big thing, is everybody getting adjusted to the system. And now, with the coaching change, and so much has happened again in the past 2 weeks. I know it's probably thrown everybody off, but this is a time as a team where you come together and you guys stick together, and you help each other.
Yeah, and that's the perfect segue. I mean, obviously, I think if you're an Atlanta Dream fan, if you're listening to this podcast, maybe you're not an Atlanta Dream fan, you're trying to get some intel on the opponent. But obviously, Nikki Collin moves on to Baylor. What was it like a week ago? We're recording this on the 13th. The season starts tomorrow. And it was like a week and a half ago. How did the team react to that? And how do you think that alters, the media's expectations for this team and the team's expectations for this team?
Yeah, wow. I think that the team was just as shocked as everyone else. It was so crazy because we were just on a Zoom call with her earlier that day. Okay. So I remember getting off the Zoom, it was around 2 in the afternoon or so. And then from there that evening, I was getting ready to go to a Hawks game. And I remember a friend of mine, who's a beat reporter in LA, had, text me and said, um, did you see the news? Like, Nikki Cullen is going to Baylor. And I'm like, what? So, of course, just by the series of tweets, it took a lot of players by surprise. I think it took a lot of this entire organization by surprise, because nobody was expecting that. And I think in a way it is may have contribute to throwing off, now the system, because, you have Mike Peterson coming in, and he's already said that he's not interested in being the next head coach. So that's going to be interesting as just the season goes on, of who do we think is going to be next, the next head coach for the Atlanta Dream. But um, I think that everyone was just as surprised as the fans and the media. So now it's more of like, as the media, how are we going to um, be able to still, what is the word that I'm looking for? How are we still going to be able to have the mindset that we've had going in? Like, we've all expected Nikki Collin to be here, but now, okay, she's not here anymore. So it kind of changes the whole perspective, because different coaches have different expectations for their
Hmm.
team. And so now we have to adjust to Mike's system. What does Mike like? Does Mike like to run small? Does he like to play small? Does he like to play big? We're learning as we go. So it'll be interesting to see how these first 3 to 4 games, um, go because now we're under a whole new system. It seems like everybody has to adjust, not only the players, but media, staff, whoever. But I would expect, he would still make sure that each and everyone, feels as though that, everybody's a part of the system and that they are still having their common goal and it's to win a championship.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this team and this roster. By the way, Mike just seems like a goofy, cool guy.
Yeah.
I've been like watching him from afar for this sounds so
Hmm.
creepy, but like watching him, you're sitting in the media and you're watching the teams warm up, and I'm
Hmm.
just watching this guy's like I don't know if he's as tall as he looks, but he looks freaking tall. And he's
Yeah.
like running around with the players, putting up shots, goofing around. Like he seems like a down to earth, relatable, hilarious guy that I would enjoy to like have a beer
Hmm.
with or something. I don't know if he
Yeah.
actually is, but then like seeing what was his windmill line, he had some great line about, some people build walls to stop the wind or something. Other people
Hmm.
build windmills to make money or like get power and grow off of the wind. We're in the windmill business. I really like
Yeah.
that. Old school, but I like it. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk about this roster. It's pretty much set.
Yep.
Some news has come out. As we record this, we expect that certain news will follow up the news that has come out. So I'm just going to break it down real quick, run through this roster of who we got. And I'm convinced that I'm missing one player. So I'm going to challenge you to try to point out who I missed. I apologize because I have 12 players listed, but I know that it's actually 13. Ooh. All right. So let's run it down. Courtney Williams, Cheyenne Parker, Shakina Strickland, Tiana Hawkins, Tiffany Hayes, who has an asterisk next to her name, and I'll explain why in a moment. Elizabeth Williams, Odyssey Sims, Ari McDonald, Monique Billings, Kennedy Carter. Sorry, I didn't put her earlier. Kalani Brown and Crystal Bradford. And now I'm completely blanking on who I missed. 11, 12. Huh. Okay, that is 12. That brings
There you
them to
go.
12. I guess my math was off. But there was news that came out that Kalani Brown was being waived, which in my mind was kind of a shocker. But I have now heard that she will not be waived and she is going to be on the team. Tiffany Hayes joins later on.
Mhm.
Are there anybody? I mean, I obviously like I was talking to you before we hit record on this. Like Crystal Bradford is a player who was drafted a while ago. I think you said it was 2015. I apologize if we're off a year or two. She's an amazing story. I believe she was drafted to LA. She hasn't
Yeah.
really been able to stick on a team. She's been signed, quote unquote, for training camps, maybe once, maybe twice, but just has never been able to truly like stick in a WNBA team. I've actually seen her play overseas and have been really big on the hype train for her for the past few years after watching her. She's a nice size person. She can score the bucket. She's a tenacious defender. And she's just like that type of player you want on your team. Is there anybody else on this roster who's really stood out to you that you're excited to see play this coming season?
Yeah, I know I told you earlier, Odyssey Sims, of course, just going back to Odyssey. Um, just her leadership role, I feel as though, and you had said it earlier, just about her journey and what she's been on. And I think that this is the moment for Odyssey to really just have her team and to be able to use her experience and her veteranship to, help mentor players like Aryeh and Kennedy. And um, I'm excited. I had the opportunity, like I said earlier, to go to the first preseason game and just to see her combo with, her and Cheyenne Parker are just they're dangerous. Cheyenne on that pick and roll, Odyssey dropping down the ball to her on the at the high post. Like, I mean, between those two, I'm the most excited about because it feels like those were the missing pieces that this team needed, you know? You had the experience, you had some talented players, but now it's about that leadership role in every single position. And I feel as though that Atlanta has it now. And so Odyssey and Cheyenne were a great pickup and they fit in so well to this team.
Hey, I agree. As somebody who's based in DC these days, seeing Tiana Hawkins
Yeah.
explode onto the scene over the past few years, she's a
Hmm.
player I'm excited to see how she fits into the system, and
Hmm.
see what she can do. And obviously, I'm excited to see the videos of her kid because that dude is adorable.
Isn't he
Um,
cute?
right? Oh man. But also, I'm very sad for him because I know that at least he used to be obsessed with Elena Deladon, and now
Oh
he's not
yeah.
going to see her as much. So heartbreaking, I know. Let's talk
Yeah.
about, let's dive into the nitty gritty. I always offer the honored guest. If you want to go first, feel free to go first. If you don't want to
Mhm.
go first, feel free to pass it over. We're going to talk weakness first. What do you
Okay.
think the weakness is of this team this season?
Rebounding. The
Ooh.
dream was the last season, the last on the list, in statistics and rebounding. Um, I do feel as though, and again, just the preseason game, going back to the preseason and what I did see so far, um, it's just you have those players that can get in and rebound. I'm not understanding why, we finished last. I mean, they finished last in rebounds, but that is the Dream's weakness right now is rebounds for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, if you're not getting rebounds, the other team's getting second chances. If they're
Yep.
getting offensive rebounds, you're not stopping them and you're not getting second chances. Um I look to and by the way, if you don't know, I love to play devil's advocate for myself, so sometimes
Oh,
I'll say something that immediately dispute myself on it. Like defense.
mhm.
Defense when I look at this, I'm scared of the size of the backcourt of this team. But then I flip it and I look at Odyssey Sims, a tenacious defender.
Mhm.
We can't count out Courtney Williams. Erin McDonald, I think I
Oh yeah.
saw a quote about her wanting to get some all defensive honors.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited about the speed that they had, and so often defense comes from effort and willingness to put your body on the line. So I think it's going to show a lot to me of where they put the intensity. And I'll be completely honest. Part of the reason why I say defense is because Nikki's not there anymore.
Yeah.
She was a coach who I almost said player. She was a coach who, when she came to Atlanta, we saw a shift in that team. She was also a coach I really enjoyed interviewing because she would like
Mhm.
go on these rants and just explain how to beat every team in the league.
Yeah.
Obviously it doesn't always work, but like, what is the game plan to beat these teams? Which
Right.
I just always really appreciate the candidness of it. But so like defense is that thing that I don't think we can. We would. I like that you went specific with rebounding, and I'm going a
Mhm.
little bit broader with defense. But I
Mhm.
look at defense just because on the other side of the coin is offense. And offensively, I think you would be, excuse my language, a moron to be sitting here saying you're going to question the offense ability of this Atlanta Dreams roster. I mean, they're
Absolutely.
a scary, scary team. But let's talk about like strength of this team. Who do you think the strength is? What do you think the strength is?
Strength. I would have to say between the ability to defend the ball or ability to create space.
Mm,
Um, we talked about defense. Um, I love that the guards love to harass, their opponents on defense. Um,
hmm
again, going back to what I saw, Aryeh does an amazing job of playing in the passing lane. Um, did I also say speed? Speed as well. They're very, very fast. They're very quick team. Very quick team. You have people like Kennedy and Odyssey, and I mean Cheyenne can get up and down the court. Of course, Elizabeth, Monique Billings. I mean, you have so many quick people, but I would say their ability to defend the ball. You have a lot of people on this squad that can defend. Now it's just about making sure that you transform that defensive stop into getting that offensive or defensive rebound so that your opponent doesn't get it. But um, I would just say have their ability to defend the ball and to create space for sure and speed.
I have speed in all caps, speed and
Yeah.
attitude. I mean, and the reason I say attitude is such a strength of this team is because when you have the attitude that you can do anything
Yep.
and you have the ability of this team, you can do anything.
Hmm.
I think it's, a lot of people are counting this team down power ranking wise, where they finish at the end. I think it's going to be a tough season for them, just in regards of like you lose your coach so close before the season, and
Right.
then you still have these young players that you're trying to grow. And Nikki was really trying to mold this team into the team that she wanted. When she came
Yeah.
in, it was much more of a kind of patch it job where I can't, it was a little bit late. We can't fully, remake the roster. Now this roster is starting to take form to the vision of Chris Sanko and Nikki. And so for me, it's just like the attitude of this team is such a strength when you have players like Courtney Williams, Kennedy Carter, Aryeh McDonald. I mean, yeah, she's respectful, she's kind, she's not out there, but you see her on the court, she's a different
Mm-hmm.
person. I mean,
Oh
that
yeah.
attitude, that confidence is through the roof, and the speed. I would not, you couldn't pay me enough money to run with this team.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
Nope.
just flat out.
No, no, no. I'm just gonna go sit on the sideline. I'm just gonna sub myself out because I would not be able to go up and down the floor with these people. I mean, it is incredible, like to see how fast all of these guards and bigs on this team. Like, I would hate to play against them, and you see Aryeh pushing up the ball, or Kennedy Carter, or Courtney Williams pushing up the ball. Like, you're doomed.
I don't want to date you, but how, like, if you were the ball girl right now, how angry would you be chasing
Oh
all
man.
over the players?
Oh man, oh man, I would be very upset. But I mean, the kid in me would be like, well, nobody else is doing this. But I would probably be livid. Man,
Right?
rebounding those balls were something else. I would really be breaking a sweat out there. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, let's talk about ceiling and floor of this team.
Hmm.
I always say that, we can always shatter through the ceiling, right? But
Yeah.
realistically, kind of what's a realistic expectation for this team? Like, I'll go first in this because sometimes I go a hot take and then I don't want to like put you in. I want you to be able to rail me back in or
Hmm.
push me out. Um, this team can make the playoffs.
Oh
That's
yeah.
not a question in my mind when you look at this, right? So I'm not going to say that making the playoffs is the ceiling for this team. If everything
Yeah.
goes right, they're making the playoffs, right?
Yep.
The
Yep.
hard part for me is the seeding, right? Because when at least in my simplistic mind, it's okay, well, what's the ceiling? The seeding of the playoffs. If you make the playoffs, what seed are you in? Are you getting the bye? You're not getting the bye. For me, it's just hard for me to see them getting past the 7 seed. And
Mm.
that's not a knock towards the team. That's just me saying they have a lot of young pieces that need to grow. And I
Yeah.
don't think that there's a realistic expectation of this team making that, each individual players making that leap. That's not a knock to them. I just think it's going to be hard to, jump the Chicago Sky, the Phoenix Mercury, the Seattles, the DC, the Lynx, the Aces in this. I mean, just named 5 teams that are easily in championship contention in my mind. So I think that's going to be hard. And then the floor is, I wouldn't even say the floor is like, all right, fine. Yeah, the floor is not making the playoffs. Obviously, fine. We've been there the past 2 years. But the floor to me isn't even bottom of the rankings, right? Like the floor to me is, you're looking at, in my mind at least, they're looking at worst being a 10 seed. More realistically, I think I see them in that 7 to 9 seed where they're still on
Mm.
that bubble. And I fully expect the 7 to 9 position, and even 10 position, sorry, 7 to 11 position, my apologies, getting confusing here with numbers, is going to be so contentious. So, like, it's going to go into multiple tiebreakers, is what I'm trying to say. What do you think the ceiling and floor is for this team?
Man. And you hit it on the head because they are a young team. Absolutely, you're correct. um what I think is so unique about the Atlanta Dream again is just um to see how they're going to put it all together. I think
Mm-hmm.
because you have so many different pieces, you have so many you know veteranship, so many people with different experiences, and they know, like, you have Tiana Hawkins who knows what it takes to get a championship. You have Tiffany Hayes coming back once again. Elizabeth Williams, Monique Billings, they've been here, these veterans, and then you're adding the 2 additional pieces with Cheyenne Parker and Odyssey Sims. And so, you know, the thing about it is that if they can take it game by game, it's going to be a tough season because everybody is stacked this season. This is the first time that I felt like in a long time that it was such a balance, within the
Mm-hmm.
league. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And they have to stay healthy, they have to stay focused. And I think what may be the setback again is just the inconvenience of losing your coach a week before the season starts. So everybody's kind of thrown off. It's like really starting all the way over again. The Dream has been under so many different changes this year, let alone, from ownerships to now coaching to, off-season changes within the team. So I could somewhat agree with you, but I'm gonna give them at least six. I'm gonna give them
Okay.
six. I'm gonna give them
Okay.
six.
I like it. Hey,
Mhm.
like I said, I like to go first so you can rail me in or push me
Oh
out,
yeah.
whatever
Oh yeah.
whatever it is. Let's talk about key player, though. I say key player is the person who kind of moves between the
Mhm.
two, right?
Yeah,
Do you want to go first or should I go first?
you can go first.
I'm going Tiffany Hayes.
Yeah.
One of the
Okay.
most underrated, if not most underrated player
Oh yeah.
in the WNBA right now.
Oh yeah.
Um, what she has been able to do throughout her career, I don't know if it's the team's lack of success at times. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
being in Atlanta.
Mm.
I don't know why that would even be a reason. I don't know what it is, but the media and the people, the talking heads, do not talk enough about Tiffany Hayes.
Yeah.
She has it all.
Yeah.
All right. The biggest critique is maybe her shooting percentage from deep could go up a little bit. Yeah, okay. So what? She's a winner. What, like, she carries this team. She is going to be a leader of this team. And I think the real question is going to be much more so, how can she mesh into this team coming in late? How is she going to, fit with them in this situation where it is a little bit different than a normal WNBA season? I'm curious who you're pointing out as the key player.
No, I agree with you. I was gonna say Tiffany as well.
Oh, great minds.
Tiffany Tiffany is so fun to watch. I don't think people really understand how fun she is. Tiffany is a tough player. She is not afraid to drive in. She's a very physical player. She's not afraid to get in the lane. She can knock down key shots. Um, and just her now finding again her identity and her role on this team. She is the leader. I know I was talking about on the podcast with a friend of mine the other day about who's going to be the face of the Atlanta Dream, this franchise. Now
Hmm.
we're still trying to recover from losing Angel. But Tiffany is one of those players that, again, I agree with you, she's not talked about enough and she's not appreciated enough because the things that she's done since the moment she's got on this team till now, to see her growth. Um, it's very hard to come across players who is willing to basically run through a wall for their team. That's how I look at Tiffany, because um, she's tough. She is physical. And I just, wow. I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Well, not only would she run through the wall, she would knock down the wall. I
She
think
would.
that she's that type of player.
And get right
Um,
back up.
Yes, 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 exactly. I mean, oh man, there's been some times where I've watched her take a hit on the court, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, there's no way she's gonna be
Yeah.
down, and she pops right back. Like,
Pops right
you
back up.
can't
Hmm.
stop her, right?
Hmm.
You might stop her on that one drive. She's
Yeah.
gonna do something else the next time. Like, she just has so many tricks in her bag of tricks. That's
Yeah.
not the saying. It's somewhere around. I don't know. I was close enough. But no, I agree with you, and I appreciate you for taking the time and joining me for this episode. Remind everyone, I'm not going to force you to like lose all your breath in listing all the billions of things that you're doing. Tell everyone where they can see you on Twitter so they can keep up to date on a million shows, a million different things that you're doing. Please, please.
Yeah, for sure. Again, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Nia on air. I will pretty much be at every single game this season, except for the 27th. I'm getting my wisdom teeth pulled, so everybody pray for me.
Oh
Pray for
no.
me. I know. But other than that, I mean, again, I tweet all things dreams, all things women's college basketball. I truly, truly enjoy, and I'm so passionate about women's basketball. So yes, also follow our station at 92.9 The Game on Twitter. I will again be doing all the live tweets, the updates, and bringing you all Atlanta Dream news this season.
Appreciate you so much. And now let me remind all of our listeners, Winsidr is your one-stop shop for all your WNBA news and conversation. We can't do without your help. Become a subscriber at patreon.com/Winsidr. For just a few dollars a month, you can help grow the game.